Think we're live. Good morning. Hopefully everybody's doing well. This is Gilroy Madrid at Fort Stockton ISD in Fort Stockton, Texas. We are doing the third federal programs meeting on Facebook, YouTube, and I believe on Twitter. For some reason, some of the comments don't show up on Twitter, I believe, but I think they do show up on YouTube and Facebook. Again, so I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. We do have one individual in the room, Mr. Alvarado. We do have a few of you guys on live this morning watching it. Again, this is the last meeting that we're going to have for the federal programs, just to kind of go over some things. So I do appreciate you guys being with us. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start. Again, this is our third meeting, Saturday, June 24th, 2023. Here I am located at the Technology Center in Fort Stockton. There is a sign-in sheet that I will put links. There's also a Padlet that has information. There is a link on there that I put in the comments that will show you guys where that link is at. So there's information there, and I'll go through that Padlet here in a little bit as well. Again, this is the third meeting of our meetings, and the purpose of the meeting is just to discuss federal programs, current technology, ESSER funds, ESSER money, and basically just how parents, just information that parents need to know that we have to inform parents of throughout for the school year, right? Again, we're located at the technology building right now. There are 3 links there that people are able to watch live. Plus, it'll be recorded and it'll stay on there. Those 3 social medias for people to watch later on. There's the Padlet that has the information, and just so that you know what it looks like, let me show you what it looks like. It's right here. It has a sign-in sheet that if you don't mind filling out, just click on there and sign in. There is a FSISD current technical education vocational input slide that if you just want to give us some input on what you feel is necessary that we need to do differently or add when it comes to current technology, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And then there's the links to the meetings from on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And then there's some links here that I added that we're going to go over here in a little bit. So the annual federal programs meeting is a requirement for schools who receive Title I Part A. Basically is we receive federal money from the government that says we have to help schools improve academics for children who are in need. And so we have to explain that to our stakeholders, which is parents or anybody in the community. And so there's parts of this that are real key to the federal program concept, and it's to improve student academics. With that, there's some requirements that there's a parent-student compact, and that parent-student compact is located in our handbooks that you receive at the schools. They're also digitally that when you register your school on your student online, there's a link there that allows you to download the student handbook where that compact is. And that people always say, well, why is it called a compact? It's just the way the federal government wants to name that document. So in there, it just helps describe decisions that you have to make related to the education of your children and how you can participate within the school district as well and the school. There's some other aspects of the Title I Part A program, and it's the campus improvement plans and the district improvement plans. And basically, there's just a blueprint on focusing on school improvement. A lot of it is tied to the STAR test and the course exams. And the whole idea is how we can help kids who are struggling in whatever facet it is, whether it's academics, whether it's something differently from academics that we can help them with. So that is one of the things that we do. And then how we can be effective with parent and family engagement as well. We do review the policy and we think about things, and the campus handbooks are online. In that compact, it describes what the roles of parents are within the schools. And then there's also one little aspect in there that we have to have a end-of-year meeting, a meeting with elementary parents and their students at least once a year. We have to have a mandatory meeting. And this here in Fort Stockton, we usually do it right after the first report card. And so we meet with the elementary kids and their parents and have one-on-one meeting with their teachers at their schools. The compact addresses things like make sure we have flexible meetings, the activities that each campus has that they're able to do, and then we also address under the curriculum, assessment, and instruction. So there's really three aspects to how kids learn. It's the curriculum, and that's basically what kids have to learn and what we teach, which is all mandated by the state of Texas. If you look, they're called the TEKS, and if you look it up online, you'll see that the TEKS actually come from the state government that tells us what we have to teach kids, like, for example, Pythagorean theorem, the branches of the government, that sort of thing. And then there's instructions how we teach those things, and then assessment how we test those things to make sure kids are learning. And then we just provide additional meetings to parents as needed with the information that we get from parents, teachers, community members. Then the whole parent compact is just a written agreement of how we improve student learning, how curriculum and instruction meet the state academic standards, ways parents can support their children learning, frequent communication from school and home, and then just reminding the importance of parent-family decisions when it comes to students' education. So we just want to get parents involved, make sure that they are involved, because we do know that parents are the first teachers of our kids in schools, and we do appreciate all the things and the patience that you guys have with your children while they're at home, especially in the summertime, and then when we have them at school. The curriculum, again, that's basically what we have to teach, and a lot of it is tied to STAR and EOCs, but then there's some other classes that are not tied to STAR EOC, such as art class, and there's some other classes in high school and middle school that such as a wood shop, auto tech shop, and so band classes, another one, choir, athletics, but they still have standards that we have to meet. All right. The other thing we have to think about is the STAR testing calendar and the school calendar as well when it comes to assessing the curriculum, which is just basically testing our kids to make sure they are learning. The meetings are basically just to inform opportunities to meet with teachers, principals, and to remind parents that they are decision makers when it comes to education of children. Then that we also use social media to help convey information to parents as best we can as well. Now, this is a funny little part of the Title I Part A funds, and it basically says, hey, if you guys get a certain amount of money, we have to set aside part of that money for family parent engagement. And it's a little funny formula that Maria Gomez keeps track of at central office, our business manager. And we set aside a certain amount of money. And with that money, what we do is we actually pay Mrs. Stella Casas as our parent liaison for the community and the schools. And she goes out and helps parents with a lot of things that we may not know about sometimes. We may not know what's going on at home, and she's able to help and put these individuals and families in the right direction to get some support with whatever it is through churches or local nonprofits. So we do appreciate Mrs. Casas. Mrs. Casas also goes by your house, knocking by certain individuals' houses. If kids aren't coming to school, she may be knocking at your door to say, hey, what's going on? How can we make sure your kid is coming to school? So thank you, Mrs. Casas, for doing that. Oh, hold on. Stay almost left. And then teacher qualifications, there's an aspect where we parents can ask for their teacher's qualifications, make sure that they're certified or not. You can get that information from the school office, whatever campus your child goes to school at. You can also get it from central office as well. The teacher certification, it's basically says, hey, each state has a licensing organization that says teachers are certified to teach within that state of Texas. There are certain situations where teachers aren't certified, and a lot of it has to do with what we have as a District of Innovation plan, where schools are allowed to hire teachers who are not certified, but they are working on trying to get their certification as well. There's one other aspect that there's some CTE classes that do not require that certification. For example, if you have a registered nurse who's been a nurse for 20 years, but she wants to help kids in our CNA program, she's allowed to teach those classes based upon her experience and her certificate that she has being a registered nurse. So there are certain situations where it is allowed. And so we do mail parents letters home saying, hey, this is what's going on. If you have any questions, let us know. And sometimes it's certification we have teachers who are really good at their jobs, but for some reason they just struggle to pass the test. And so that's what happens in that sense. There's other aspects of, we evaluate if there's any barriers between parents and families where they're struggling. Um, just to communicate with schools and do things where we work together. So we do our very best to see if there's any barriers and or complications where we're not able to just get with parents. And so we do appreciate those of you who let us know when things are going on and we need to address things. And so we do get information from meetings, questionnaires. Social media is huge. We know that a lot of you are out there on social media, and so we do appreciate the times that you guys share some information with us. And we report any findings that we do within a school. We address them in our school parent compact just to make sure that we have them written down and we're doing something better from what we see. Now, this is a list of all the federal programs, and they have crazy little numbers. The crazy numbers have to do with how the government labels them. All right, so Title I Part A goes all the way down to IDEA, special ed preschool. There's some CARES Act ESSER money's in there as well. And so I'm fixing to go into a little bit detail on all those federal programs, but I just want to let you know, for the most part, a lot of these federal programs that we receive money from, state and federal programs, we look at either extra staffing or improved teaching within a school district just to lower our class sizes a little bit more. Title I Part A basically is make sure that economically disadvantaged students do have the support needed to achieve well in school, and how we can improve the achievement of our lowest achieving students who are economically disadvantaged. All right. And so we look at that by using effective methods, instructional strategies, and we use evidence-based research as well. All right. And then Title I Part C is migrant services. The last time I did this, someone asked me how many migrant students we have. We have 10 in Fort Stockton, and it's all geared towards agriculture and fishing industries. Not a lot of water out here, but there is some agriculture families who travel from different parts of the country with that seasonal work of the in the agriculture industry. Sometimes I think we don't look at things a little bit differently, but the state of Texas nor the federal government looks at it. But I think out here in our world, we look at the oil industry being a migratory service for kids, because we have a lot of kids who move in and out of Fort Stockton area due to their parents working in the oil field. Basically, it's just to help those students succeed so they don't fall through the cracks. Title II Part A, again, is just about supporting effective instruction, increasing student achievement, and teacher quality to support educators overall so that they can ensure equity for all our students, and making sure they're getting the very best teachers within that aspect of that title program. And then there's Title III Part A, which is English learners. Again, we just make sure English learners, students who are struggling with English language or English language is not their native language, that we help those students succeed in schools as well. There's Title IV Part A, which again addresses the academic outcomes using technology. There's an issue of supplement, not supplant requirement in this, and it basically says this. Supplement means you just add to this. So like if we have, let's just say $20,000 for a certain initiative within the school, Title IV Part A says, hey, here's $5,000 more. This is what you can use it with. That's supplementing. Supplant means, like, let's just say we have $20,000 and the government gives us $20,000. We can't replace that money that we were going to spend. We have to add to that. Okay. Title V basically is a initiative where it's REAP. Because we're in a rural area, we get a little bit more money because there's certain resources out here in rural areas. It's not really in bigger cities. And it's just the way it is. And so we just deal with it the best we can. The government gives us a little bit more money to address those needs as well, so that we can be effective and not have a huge gap between the larger cities and smaller cities or towns like in our little area as well. Now, this is state compensatory education. Basically, that just says you have a lot of kids who are at risk, and we need to make sure that they pass their tests, and the end goal is that they graduate high school, that they graduate and they go on to some type of post-secondary readiness, whether it's military, trade school, workforce, or college, something that they're productive citizens and reduce the dropout rate. All right, so state compensatory education, there's 14, I think it's 14 different ways you can be labeled as at risk. A student can. First one is that they fail. The second one is if in those grades 7 to 12 they receive a 70, they didn't maintain a 70, so they didn't keep at least 72 more grades. They failed 2 classes within those grade levels, and they didn't perform at least 110% level of satisfactory performance. That's kind of funny the way it's worded, but it basically says this. Let's just say, let's take 70 for an example. It's saying you're at risk if you pass with a 70. They're saying you're not at risk if you pass with a 77. So a 70 is 10% of that is 7. So if you get to 77, then you're okay. But anything below that is you're considered at risk. I would tell you that the passing standard for STAR is a lot less than that, especially this year with the redesign of the STAR test. And so we won't know a whole lot till maybe August or September of this coming fall. The other thing is that kids didn't perform well on pre-kindergarten, kindergarten 1, 2, 3 on a readiness test. And that's because in those grade levels, there really isn't a STAR test except at the end of grade 3. All right, so that's why that's in there. Our school district has those tests, and we administer those tests based upon whatever grade level that we're at. If a student is pregnant or is a parent, if they've been placed in an alternative education program, if a student has been expelled, and then if a student has anything to do with a law, such as being on parole, probation, or any other conditional release, if they've dropped out of school, if the student is struggling with the English language, if they are part of the Department of Family and Protective Services, if the student is homeless, as defined by certain rules and laws of the state of the federal government, if they're in a residential placement facility, and the last one, number 14, if a student has been incarcerated or their parent has. We're not going to go around asking parents if they've been in jail. We're just not going to do that. All right, so don't worry about that. But those are the ways you can be considered at risk. And so we do receive money for that at risk, for those at-risk students. And what we try to do is we try to make things a little bit better for them by, number one, making our classroom sizes a little bit smaller, and number two, providing professional development training for teachers on how to help kids who may be struggling with things in schools, whether it's academics, whether it's emotional learning, whatever it is, and how we can help them do better in school so that way they can succeed in life. This last part is the Perkins 5. Perkins 5, it's not really the last part, but this part is of the federal programs. And what it is Perkins has to deal with current technology within the school district. And so it's Perkins 5 because there's been different versions of the Perkins law since its inception many years ago. These are indicators. Indicators basically says how the state of Texas and the federal government measure our CTE program here. And if you notice, there's statewide numbers for those indicators, and then there's district numbers, which we're not too far off on a few of them, and we're actually doing better in some more than others. And so I'm going to go over that. This chart here is basically going to be in a different type of format. Next slide. It's the same slide, but it basically says the state, which is the blue line, compared to our school district, which is in the orange line. If you notice for S1, which is on this slide, non-traditional program concentration. Craziest thing, non-traditional concentration basically says, do you have girls in programs, career study programs that is not really what girls would do? Like, for example, do you have girls in auto tech shop and wood shop and things like that? And so that's what that is talking about. So we try to make it equitable for boys and girls. But then again, you can't force kids to be in things that they don't want to do. So you just work with kids to make sure that you are offering those programs. And so a lot of it is just kind of an average, comparing it to the state of Texas, just to make sure you're in line with what's going on compared to the other schools in the state of Texas. This last part is compare the performance of non-CTE and CTE learners. So this basically says, all right, let's look and see how kids who are in career technology classes are doing compared to kids who are not. And if you notice in the orange, the career technology students are doing a far better job than students who are not in CTE classes. So that's extremely important to know. There's a lot of backing on that. A lot of times people think that kids that you just put in the wood shop and metal shop, you just leave them alone, don't worry about them. Not here in Fort Stockton, for the most part, our kids are doing well, not only in our current technology classes, but in their classrooms as well. This next part is the labor market alignment, and this part just just gives us information of where our CTE learners are at within our school district. If you notice, there's 12 different career clusters that we're looking at. And we have that, there's these numbers right here, 45, 38, 34, 32, just kind of gives us a number of students that are in those different programs. And I'll show you a little bit more information about that here in a little bit. This next part just basically says, are you in line with the state of Texas as far as improving equity and access to make sure that kids in minority groups and boys and girls are being equitable in the programs that they're in? You know, those numbers are real close to each other so that we're in good shape. Just as long as we're balanced out, we should be fine. This next information is very complicated for certain people, but it's real. The state of Texas has this crazy indicator coding system where we have to list kids based upon their current technology classes that they're in or that they're not in. If you notice, the first one is a student who is not in CTE. The next one is a student who's in one class and they're just considered a participant. The next one is an explorer, where they've been in two more classes, but they may not be in the same cluster per se. And then you have another student who is in two or more high school CTE courses where the last 2 credits are within the same program of study. For example, if I'm in woodshop 1 and 2 and 3, then I would be considered a CTE concentrator with some other things as well. And then the last one is a completer, those who pass 3 or more high school CTE courses with 4 more credits, including 1 level 3 or 4 course. And I'll kind of show you what those level 3 or 4 courses are at here in a little bit, because it's very confusing. And sometimes counselors and principals struggle at the high school just to make sure that they're doing this for our kids, because the state of Texas says we have to do that. Okay. Program study overview. It just basically says, are we doing the right thing based upon the law? Are we incorporating challenging state academic standards? Is it aligned with the industries within our state, regional, and our local economy? And then do we do certain things to make sure kids get certain post-secondary certifications, such as a CNA certificate that we work with from Midland College as well? Again, these are the list of programs to study, and they always change them a little bit. You know, they kind of combine 1 or 2, they delete 1, add it to another. So that's just an explanation of that. For example, right here we have law, public safety, corrections, security, combined with government, and then combined with law, public, and security. So they're kind of combined together now within their 16 career clusters. This is the website that has approved statewide CTE programs to study. And what I'm going to show you on this is, let's just say you click on one of these things, like I just clicked on a few right here. You can get information about them. Now, this information is pretty cool. For example, I picked transportation, distribution, and logistics career cluster. It's a long, crazy word for automotive statewide program of study. These are the classes that kids have to take to get them in this career cluster in this program of study. If you notice here, there's principles of transportation, small engine, basic collision repair. Then there's level 2 classes. And then there's level 3 and level 4. These are the opportunities kids have that they can go into. There's associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, master, doctoral, professional engineering, professional degrees. These are industry-based certificates that we can look at within our school district to give kids certificates so they can take it out into the real world and have a better chance of making a better living. There's just some aligned occupations here. Again, this is median information, all right? It's not, I think a lot of times that's incorrect, because it's just kind of the average. Some places pay more because there's less people who can do the job. There's some annual openings. There's a percent of growth. And then these are the courses, again, of what classes would take just to follow the steps so that we can have kids become CTE completers within our school district, as the state of Texas wants us to be. So that is that. And there's just one example. All right. This next website is the Texas Workforce Commission. Anybody can go to that. I will tell you, there's a lot of cool information on there. I'm going to show you some here in a little bit. Within that, there is a career awareness website within that, and it is right here. And I will tell you, there's some cool things. There's some K-12 students and parents information right there. When you click on that, there's a lot of cool things here for parents, kids to look at. Parents look at for moms and dads looking to give their kids the right direction. There's some things you can look there to do. There's a hotline to call. There's Foundation High School program. There's some high school endorsement bulletins as well. This is a document that just says, hey, if you're going to work in the real world right now, what are things you need to be looking at and thinking about? Starting a conversation with your children, talking about career exploration, starting the conversation. There is this reality check's pretty cool. I just want to show you. Let's just say you wanted to, this is a reality check, all right? Let's just say I want to live in Dallas, all right? I want to work in Dallas, live in Dallas, live the big city life. I'm going to live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I need utilities. I do have a phone. I'm going to need the internet. I need water, gas. I may not need cable, but I do need electricity. I'm going to eat. All right. Let's just say I eat and dine out. Then I have to travel. I can use human power, which is using our feet. Let's just say I'm going to use my used automobile. Basics clothes that I don't know who buys $45 a month in just basic clothes. I'm thinking it's more like 100 to 200. Let's just say, well, there's work clothes, there's accessories, there's basics, and then there's shop till you drop. But let's just leave it like that. Healthcare, let's just say your mom still has you on healthcare, so I'm just going to leave it employee healthcare benefits. But let's just say you got to get vision and dental healthcare. Personal care, the basics. I want to be in a workout club, professional services such as waxing, nails, manicures. All right. And then I'm going to say I want a little bit more extra too. All right. And then there's entertainment. There's the home bundle, the fun bundle, adventure bundle, amusement bundle. And then there's some party. I would say, let's just say we go to this level. This is about how much money we spend a month. No, I don't need a pet. Other items, yeah, sure. Yeah, I want to think about a vacation, electronics, kids like that love electronics, and there's furniture and appliances. If there's any student loan debt, let's just say I have a public, let's just say I have an LVN 2-year school, okay? And then let's just say the social security, it's a 2-year. This would be like student loan debt. And family, right now, I have plan on living 1 child, 2 children. Let's just say I have no kids. It's just me. Do you plan on saving even? Let's just say you plan on saving 5% of your income. All right. Or let's just say 2%. All right. Let's just take it down to that. So with all that being said, you need a job that pays $67,410 because of income taxes. All right. And it explores the occupation. So this kind of gives you an idea. There's a lot of occupations that at least pay that amount. But let's just say you wanted to live a little bit more, then you have to go back in and change your annual salary. So that's kind of cool for certain people to just kind of look at. Let's go back to our slideshow. This here is just a market, job market for our area. I'm going to show you what that looks like here. I downloaded that information. I will tell you right here, these are the large high growth rate job market locations for a certain area here in West Texas. If you notice, lobby attendants, a lot of that has to do with hotels. It's like service industry, bus drivers, food preparation, restaurants. Again, concierge, that's going to be like geared towards hotels and the food service industry. Actors is on there. Not too sure where you're going to act at, but it is on there. The thing about it you need to know is that the growth rate is high, but the pay here, since it's in yellow, the state of Texas is saying it's not really enough money for you to do well. So, but if you notice, the first one is in education, that 98% of growth, and it's the first job that has high growth rate and high pay as well within our area. Now I'm going to change this to highest paying jobs in our area. If you notice, it's medicine, medical. It's physicians, anesthesiologists, surgeons, nurses, family medical. Airplane pilots and co-pilots on there, but they say you got to have a bachelor's degree, usually engineers as well. And there's dentists, architectural engineering. So the highest paying jobs, a lot of them are geared towards medical field. So just keep that in mind for our area, but that also shows the amount of growth in here that we'll probably have, how much people we're going to need. If you notice, family medicine physicians, you will need about 45% more. And the median average pay is about $187,000. All right. All those links are within our the Padlet that I put in the comments. This is just if you want to give us input information on vocational CTE education, you are more than welcome to do that. It is out there just to give us any information you need. This next part is ESSER. I'm going to go over the Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Act. It's basically what we had to deal with COVID-19 and how we can help kids. I hate to say this, I don't like to use the learning loss, but there was a lot of learning loss during COVID-19 and how we can help those kids academically, socially, and emotionally. So there was 3 different ESSERs, ESSERs 1, 2, and 3. I'll go over those here a little bit more specifically. ESSER 1, we got about $500,000 for it. Then ESSER 2, about $2 million. And then ESSER 3 was about $5 million. And so that's really what today we're going to go over quite a bit of that because these other 2 have already been spent a while back, the first part of COVID-19 when we received those ESSER funds. Again, it just addresses learn recovery and how we can address high quality in teaching and target support and resources for our students and teachers. We have to consider their health and safety, reduce the risk of viruses, and how we can retain high need, high impact individuals for our school district, for our kids so they can do well in school. We address learning recovery for all our students. We address high quality assessments, and then think about the best practices for those students within our school. The whole idea is to improve on the academics of our students. That was the main goal of it. The ESSER 3 funds we used, again, were to have high expectations for academic support, progress to academic excellence, support our teachers and individuals who are learning to our students. The academic needs all basically are tied into STAR and accountability. The whole idea is to improve student academic performance. And at the very end there is to retain, reward, and recruit the best of the best for our students here in Fort Stockton ISD. We had some retention stipends during COVID-19 just to help with teachers to keep them, make sure that they were being taken care of. We also spent a lot of money on feeding students and then did some technology distribution within our technology department. We worked in building instruction curriculum for school and home learners back when COVID-19 was rampant. And then just practice daily health measures as well. Within that, we did spend quite a bit of money on replacing the entire heating and cooling system at the Apache School. Just that was the only system that was considered a chiller system, where it heated up water really hot and then circulated that water within that school, ran some air over the water so that way it could blow hot air. Did the same thing with super cold water, and that was the way it would cool and heat up the Apache School. We redid that system where it's not like that. It's more of an HVAC system where you have, like at your at the other schools, where it's a condenser coil and it's not this water-based system. Okay. Then we also did Rachel's Challenge to help be kind and address bullying, minimize school violence, and help resilience in our schools and kids, just to help say, hey, keep working, working hard to do your very best as well. There are 2 plans that we have to keep on file within the district. Plan 1 is a safe return to in-person instruction and the continuity of services plan, and then how we spent that money. So this is as of May 2023. This is how we spent our money. ESSER 1, we did a lot of salary COVID paid retention money. We did some consulting services as well, and then we bought a lot of Chromebooks as well. Okay. ESSER 2, we did some retention pay, and then just paid our maintenance and custodial staff because they were doing a lot of extra cleaning. They were doing a lot of extra work just to maintain our schools, make sure they were healthy and sanitized throughout the whole COVID era. And this last one is the ESSER 3 funds. That was the biggest amount of money that we got from the state. And it was, yes, from the federal government, which is about $5 million. And we did retention pay, the CD, that was the campus curriculum directors and the curriculum director. We spent about our money just to help improve academics within our schools and help teachers grow. Then we had zone pay, how we can pay teachers a little bit more money for certain things that they're teaching. And then the academic stipends as well. Summer school tutorials. We also have the Texas Tech tuition where we do some online schooling at our Butts campus right now. Rachel's Challenge in there. Again, that's the program that we brought to help kids just have a little bit better understanding of how to be nicer to each other. There's the replacement of the HVAC, which is about $1.3 million. We have about $290,000 left of the ESSER 3 funds, which was started back in July of 2021. Within that, we still have to pay our summer school campus curriculum directors and a curriculum director. Zone Bay. And so we'll be out of that money probably this year. So what do you do when you run out of money? We still have to maintain a lot of that. And so it'll be paid out of our local funds that we will to maintain some of those things that we're still doing. The ESSER 3 information is on our website. It has to be there. And so anybody can go to it and look at it. There are campus contact information, phone numbers. So if you have any questions about where your kid is going to go to school or what some things you may have questions about, those are the numbers you can call anytime and ask questions. I believe that is it. So that being said, I don't see any questions. I know there's still a few people out there. Shout out to, I think, Mrs. Barragon, who liked our video somewhere, probably on Facebook. So thank you for being with us today. We do have Mr. Alvaro in the room. Thank you for being here. Outside of that, I think we're good. I don't see any questions. Again, if you have any questions, I'm going to go back to the fact that you can always go back and ask us, call us, let us know what's going on, and we can help you out the very best we can. So that being said, it is 10:36. You guys be safe, take care, and have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool. And if you need anything, holler at us at one of those numbers. Thank you. Bye-bye.